I'm Donna Davis along with Richard Kohl, and we are here with For the Birds with Richard Kohl. So we have an exciting show today.
Yes, we do. We're going to talk about a lot of interesting things today. First of all, we've got some good news, some exciting news about our upcoming 2022 calendar and all the entries for the pictures what's going to be that are going to be in the calendar. We'll talk about that.
That's right. We're going to show you the pictures that made it. So stay tuned for that and share it out if you don't mind, because we had some great pictures this year, right?
Yes,
And then-
absolutely.
And we're also going to tell you about some of those bold birds you may have seen flying around in your backyard. And Richard's going to tell us why the birds look so strange this year.
Bald-headed birds.
That's right.
You got to hear about this. If you haven't seen one,
Exactly.
we've had a great picture for you. And we're going to talk about a question that came in from Facebook, I think it was last week. And the person asked a really good question, which got me started down several other very topics that are good for right now, because it's hummingbird time. So we'll
That's
talk
right.
about that and several different topics about the hummingbirds this time of year.
Yeah, and you've actually got some feeders that you're going to show.
Show you some feeders,
and Richard's
types
going to
of
give you
feeders, yeah.
some insight about when to change the nectar.
Yes.
And last but not least, the very exciting stuff of a snake. What happens when
Oh,
a
yeah.
snake goes after your little baby birds or the birds' eggs? We have some video of that. Richard's going to give you some insight on what you can do to prevent that sort of thing and make sure that the birds in your nesting box are safe. So
You've got to see
without
this
further
part of it.
ado,
Yes.
let's get right into the calendar. Tell us a little bit about these.
It's been every year. It's exciting because you guys out there take great pictures and send them in to us, and we enjoy looking at these things because they're all very good.
This has really been so much fun.
Yeah.
And this year, a lot of entries.
A lot of entries, a lot of great entries, and we're going to show you all the semi-finalists, and then we'll get into about how everything is
Yeah,
chosen.
so we're going to show you those pictures coming up in just a second. But first of all, we do want to remind you that these pictures are going to be posted on our Facebook page. And if you really love a picture, you are going to determine the first, second, and third place winners by your likes, not your comments. So please know that comments don't count, just likes. So let's take a look at first place and what the first place winner will get. Look at that.
Wow,
It's a lot of prizes, right?
that's a lot of prizes. I wish I had that much stuff.
I bet you do. I bet you've tried all these things, haven't you?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, you're going to get some feeders. You're going to get the Kohl's new Hummingbird nectar. You're going to get the Kohl's Hummer High Rise. All these great prizes worth over $350.
Yes.
Amazing. So let's take a look at second place. Tell us about some of these, Richard.
Oh, well, of course, another great Kohl's feeder, the tall one, holds a lot of seed. Love those feeders. A tray to go with it, and there's several suet cakes. We've got 3 bags of seed, and then suet kibbles plus mealworms, and a dome and a tray to go with this. Another great prize.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, your likes determines which person gets these prizes. The third place, you still get a lot
Yes.
of products. A great combination of some great new feeders to use and of a good variety of some of our seed stuff. And of course, that amazing Hummer High Rise.
That's a great little hummingbird feeder and some of our new hummingbird nectar.
So now, without further ado, let's see some of these semifinalists. We had more than around 500 entries this year.
Wow.
So these are very special semifinalists.
Yeah, great bird shots. There's a nice bird right there. And they don't all have to be the brilliant colored birds. Some beautiful hummingbirds, and somebody's taking a bath.
Absolutely. Got to have that water out for them. And
little
we were
wren.
just,
And there's a flicker. A lot of people don't notice flickers, but it's one of our woodpeckers.
always
The
popular.
cardinal, yeah.
And bluebirds,
bluebirds.
cardinals, bluebirds, goldfinches. We see a lot of those.
I like the pine tree in there.
Absolutely.
Oh, another cardinal. And cardinals are very popular birds.
Absolutely. They
And for a
do
good reason,
stand out
yeah.
so much against their backgrounds. And
A
chickadee,
little chickadee, yeah.
cedar waxwing.
Yeah, absolutely. Eating the berries.
And
It's a cute little bird.
exactly. And we just love to see the different seasons that are portrayed with your pictures. And when we do decide what goes in the calendar, a lot of it has to do with what the season is or what that month might be.
Yes.
And so those kind of things go into that. And of course, the Kohl staff has the tough job of deciding what goes in that beautiful calendar every year.
All these birds are so nice.
Aren't they?
Look at this.
It's a great way to me to portray the seasons are through birds. There's nothing else like pictures of birds to really show how beautiful the season is.
Mr. Humminbird?
Yeah, and you just always, when you see hummingbirds, you think of summer.
Yes.
Just brings to mind summer.
All fluffed up.
Must be trying to keep warm.
I think so. That one's obviously trying to get warm. I think that's snow, isn't it? Yeah.
But notice on all these pictures what a beautiful way this is to portray all the seasons of the years and the different months. And love that feeder, as well as the picture of the bird.
Bath time again.
And it's so important to have water out for your birds.
Yep.
The chance to get to see the birds also feeding their young and the courtship, those stories that can be told through your pictures too. We always love that. And it is always a difficult decision to go through these and pick just the ones that can be the semi-finalists, because we always get some great entries and it seems to grow every year.
And I'm very glad I don't have to be the one who decides who wins, because that would be really tough.
Right, there are so many good
yeah.
pictures. And we are so grateful to all of you who took these beautiful pictures and sent them in to take part in our calendar. It is one of the really fun things that we get to do here at Kohl's. So we are going to, you may have, it seemed like we went through those so quickly, but don't worry. At the end of the show, we are going to leave you with more shots of these and just return to our Facebook page so that you get the chance to vote on the ones that you really like, and we'll have those posted soon. I do want to also remind you, both on Facebook and we're live on YouTube today, that Richard Kohl is the birding expert. So ask your questions anytime, put them in the comments, and we'll try to get to your questions today. So let's talk about those bald-headed birds.
Oh, the bald-headed birds. People don't think about birds changing their feathers, but they have to change their feathers. There it is. I mean, this is a sight. I've got a little story I'll tell about it in just a second. But you can see the head has no feathers on it whatsoever. And some people say, well, what's going on with this bird? Or what's going on with my cardinals? They don't have any feathers on the head. Not all of them do it. And it could be one of three things. One, it could be just an abnormal molt. Especially if you get down into the summertime, these guys are tending to nest and all. They're not in courtship. They're not in migration. So they can afford to molt their feathers. Sometimes they don't all molt in a pattern like they should. Sometimes some of these birds will molt all their head feathers. It's called an abnormal molt. It shouldn't be that way, but it doesn't affect them. It just happens. It also could be feather lice or mites. Doesn't happen very often, but that's a possibility. Most likely it's just an abnormal molt. I'd like to draw your attention to that picture. If you look at the large hole on the side of the head, that whole cavity, that's the ear area. And we don't ever think about these birds having ears, but there we go. A quick story about one of these. A lady came to me one time with a bird identification question. She says, I was sitting out back having a drink, and I saw this bird. And she said it was a good-sized bird. It was red. It had a little bitty head, a really big orange beak, and a blue head. And I said, okay. I didn't know how much she had to drink in the afternoons, but that sounded really strange. I could not think of, and she described it again. Red bird, small head that's blue with a red beak, orange beak. And I had no idea. I said, just get a picture and bring it to me. And because I thought, really, she was just making something up or just didn't know what she was talking about.
Yeah.
And she came back with the pictures, and that's what it was. It was a bald-headed cardinal, and she described it absolutely perfect. She hadn't had too much to drink.
Yeah.
She described a bald-headed cardinal. And I've always got a kick out of seeing these pictures ever since then. And yeah, I've seen a few of myself, and they're just so funny when you see them.
Yeah, they are. They do.
But don't-
And you have the tendency to think that something's wrong, like, oh,
Yes.
that bird has a disease. No.
And don't worry about them; they will be just fine.
Right.
The other bird that does that a lot is blue jays. The most common birds you'll see doing the abnormal molts like that are blue jays and cardinals. You may see it on some other birds, but mostly those two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see a lot of cardinals back there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about now one of the other questions that we had that has to do with the nectar and rain, all the rain we've been getting.
Yeah, the person sent in the question about, well, what do I do if it keeps raining on my hummingbird feeders? Will that bother them? And I said, basically, it depends on the hummingbird feeder. Rain in itself won't hurt a thing unless it dilutes the nectar. And that depends, like I said, on the type of hummingbird feeder you have. I'm going to show you some hummingbird feeders.
You just happen to have some
Just
today.
right over here, there's 3 types. Here's one of them that'll represent a feeder that a lot of people use. It's tall with a cylinder, and the nectar goes down into the middle, and it just sits in a little.
Yeah.
It's like a chicken watering device that you saw, and the birds reach through here and get the nectar. What happens with these is they can leak because as the sun hits these things, heats up the air that's in the top, the air expands. When that air heats up and expands, it pushes the fluid level down, it rises above there, spills out.
Okay.
So that attracts insects and ants if they can get to it. But still, nice feeder.
Would the rain be able to get into it?
The
to
rain can get
dilute
into it a little bit, but not much.
Yeah.
But just so
Yeah.
effectively, these holes are very small, and the rain probably won't do much to that.
Right.
Now, the next feeder is a feeder that most people recognize. It's been around for, I think, ever since birds. It's called the 4 fountains, and it's the same principle. It's top loaded on a column, so it will push fluid down. It has bigger ports here. Here again, rain will really not bother this too much. It'll pool in this area right here, but it generally will not affect the strength of the fluid.
Right.
There's another feeder, but of course this does have that leaking problem and the cleaning problem. Another feeder is a bowl type feeder.
Recognize that one.
I recognize this one too. This is a Kohl's feeder, and it's simply a bowl.
The moat is so easy to use too.
And you fill it up to here, and you put the lid on it. And it will not leak during the daytime as everything heats up because there's no suspended column of fluid
Yeah.
to get pushed down. The birds love it, and since they're sitting up here on a high rise, you can see them on both sides of the feeder. It has a decent sized hole for them to get their bill in. You can get some water drops down in here.
Yeah.
So if it's just a little rain, it won't matter at all. But if it's a heavy rain or 2 rains 2 days in a row, you could get a little dilution of the fluid. It won't hurt anything, but you could. The other thing is, with any of these feeders, you should need to be changing the fluid more often anyhow. But as far as the water goes, this is not a significant problem either unless it's a heavy downpour for a long period. But these feeders, my favorite. I love these feeders right here. I have probably 8 of them out right now, soon to
Do
be
you
10 or 12.
really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, because the hummingbirds are starting their southward migration.
Oh.
And so here in the south, as all the birds from up north come by, we'll see more and more birds for the
Yeah.
next month and a half. And
I have one, and the thing I guess I like about it the most is easy to clean. I put
Oh,
it in the
that's-
dishwasher. That pops off really easily, and I love the ant moats. Easy to use.
yes, this has a real ant moat area on it. If you have ants coming down and getting to your hummingbird feeder, this area right here, you just put plain water in it.
Yeah, that's
and
all
the
I do.
ants can't
Yeah.
come down and swim across the water to get to the fluid. And like you said, it is so easy to clean.
Yeah.
So that's why I have mostly these feeders out in my yard now,
Yeah.
because they're just so easy to handle.
Yeah.
And so easy to use.
It's a great feeder. It's a great little feeder to use. And also, there is some nectar that Kohl's makes. I want to mention really quickly, if you see me looking down at my computer, and I did see comments on that. Why does that woman look down at her computer? I'm just making sure that if somebody puts a question in the comments, that Richard can answer it. So that's what I'm doing.
And since we're talking about hummingbirds, it's a great time to talk about hummingbirds because now we're going to see more and more hummingbirds in the south as these guys move through and start head down to to the southern hemisphere.
I'm not ready to see them go. I am so not ready.
Well, you're going to enjoy the next month and a half as they move through. But when you're looking at how, the other part of the question from the lady was, how often should you change the fluid? Well, that depends also. How hot is it outside?
Last week it was so hot, at least in the Atlanta area and throughout pretty much the southeast.
Yeah. In the wintertime, I'll put fluid out and maybe it'll stay out there 2 weeks or more because you look at it. Just look, when you mix fluid yourself, or if you get one that doesn't have dyes in it, like this does not have dyes, it'll be very clear looking.
Right.
It'll be clean looking, like fresh, clear water. Just look at your Humminbird feeder. If it's starting to look a little cloudy, if it's starting to look a little murky, it's time to change it, whether that be 2 days, 3 days, or 4 days.
Right.
And generally in the summertime, 2 to 3 days is about it. And just look, as soon as it starts changing color just a little bit, so it's not crystal clear, just change it. If you're making your own, there's 3 ways to go. You can buy the color stuff, and I won't say any more about that because it has chemicals and it has preservatives in it. You can mix your own, or you can buy, ready to go, the Kohl's fluid, and I'll mention something else about that in just a minute.
We have a question.
Yeah, oh, okay.
So, Desiree asked, how do you keep bees away from your hummingbird feeders? This is a great question because wasps always come and, just hang out and they drink out of it. I don't really mind, but if you don't want a lot.
This is how you do it.
Yeah, I noticed they don't come to that one. They come to our other one.
There's no fluid for them to get to. They can't get down through the hole, and they can't reach the fluid, and the fluid's not getting pushed out. When you have one of the other feeders like this, it's always going to be some dripping around here. The bees have ready access to sugar water, and so you get a collection of bees on here, and the hummingbirds have to fight with them to see who's going to drink the nectar, and it's only because they drip.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's another reason I use almost exclusive fleece, because I don't have any problem with bees at all.
Yeah. I never even thought about that, but yes, we have a tubular feeder, and the wasp come to that, but I don't mind.
And with a good ant moat, you can keep the ants from getting without having to buy another ant moat. And the chickadees love to drink this water for some reason. I don't know why, but they're always up here drinking water.
Goldfinches will come and drink out of
also,
ours.
yeah.
But Desiree, I'm glad that you asked the question because you certainly don't want to have bees competing with your hummingbirds for your nectar. And that's a great question. I had no idea. So we love that you guys will ask these questions.
Yes, and that I wasn't even thinking about it, but that's another reason to use this type of feeder because of the bees. And I didn't think about it because I don't have a bee problem because I use one of these.
Exactly.
And Humminbird nectar, like I said, the red stuff that you buy, the commercial stuff you find in the stores, there's preservatives in it because it's got to sit in the stores for who knows how long. It's also, I'm not sure, it's scary when you read the package ingredients on those feeds. It's all types of stuff. You get a thing on the back labeled about like this of all the different things in there. This right here, and it's one of the reasons we finally did this.
Yeah.
It's there's no preservatives. The list of ingredients is basically sugar and water.
But it's 3 different kinds.
It's 3 different kinds of sugar.
And that's a big thing.
Absolutely. Natural flowers and nectar-producing plants generally have 3 types of sugars in there. And there's sucrose, fructose, and glucose. They're all in there. And we know through research about what the percentage of each one is in general. Some plants have more of one than the other, but in general, there's a certain percentage of that, and that's the way we formulated this product.
And when we use table sugar, it's just glucose, right?
It's just sucrose.
Oh, it is just sucrose.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's nothing wrong with that. When you mix your own, just use plain table sugar. Nothing fancy, plain table sugar. And the ratio of how you mix this stuff, we found that in most plants, it's roughly 20%, maybe 22%, 25% mixture of sugar to water.
Yeah.
So when you mix it yourself, make it 4 to 1. 4 parts water, 1 part sugar.
Yeah.
4 to 1.
And I wanted you to go over too, because I used to, when I first read, and I just Googled about making my own sugar water nectar, it always said boil it for 2 minutes.
Yes.
But Richard says, no, you don't have to boil it. Just get it.
There's 2 reasons not to boil it for 2 minutes. One, when you put your proportions in there, 4 parts water, 1 part sugar, and you boil it for a whole lot of time, the water starts going away,
Right.
and it leaves a mixture that's probably a little stronger than it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is you're wasting your time boiling it, because you're going to boil this, put it in a Humminbird feeder hanging outside fully exposed to the elements.
Well, they say that it needs to burn off something, and I can't remember what it was, but you said
I've heard all
no.
kinds of reasons for it.
No, that you don't need to
But
do that.
it says it won't dissolve if you don't. Yes, it'll dissolve quite fine. Just
Yes,
warm
it does
tap
dissolve.
water, and you stir it a moment. It fully dissolves, and it's crystal clear. That's how you know it's
Right.
dissolved. And you just fill it in feeder. Put it in the refrigerator. After,
Mm-hmm.
I usually make up a batch of it like this. I'll put it in the refrigerator, or I'll store this in the refrigerator after opening,
Yeah.
and just pour it into my feeders when they're ready. I'll do that several times a day.
Yeah.
Depending on which rotation on feeders. So you can do that. I highly recommend this stuff right here because
Yeah.
the birds love it.
Yeah.
If you're mixing your own, just 4 parts water, 1 part sugar. Don't worry about the boiling stuff. Just keep your feeders clean.
Yeah.
And the store-bought stuff, yeah, I don't recommend it.
Yeah, I keep them clean without any work either with those.
Yeah.
It's so easy with that Kohl summer high rise right through the dishwasher. Okay, so we have one more topic, and we do invite you to ask your questions. We really like for you to ask your questions. Don't forget, we're going to show these beautiful pictures again at the end of the show. Please share this out with your friends and encourage them to come and vote and take part in our contest too. So our last topic is going to be the snake and how you keep your birds and their eggs safe. So let's take a little bit of video of this, or let's show you the video. So this is
look
my
at that.
husband, that there was a snake in the backyard. He noticed this because, and he's taking it down. He noticed this because the bluebird and another bird were just out there squawking, going crazy. They were dive bombing the snake. What gutsy little creatures. I love the courage. And so he went to be help the damsel in distress, right? And to be the hero. And here's the up close picture. So tell us about this snake, Richard.
First of all, no snakes were harmed in the filming of this little
And
adventure.
no birds were harmed.
No birds were harmed either.
By that snake.
Snakes can be a problem with bird houses. Snakes are very good climbers. Snakes are very good animals. Also, I don't want to cast any aspersions on snakes. This happens to be a gray rat snake, and they're common in the east. There's other versions of them around. Most of the snakes you're going to run across are not poisonous, and they're very, very beneficial. You get rid of those snakes right there, you have more rodents running around through your yard. They're very good at catching rodents. So you want them. You just want to keep them out of your bird houses. There's several ways to do that. The Kohl's Tough Bird Feeder Guards, which we've talked about many times on the show, which you just clamp around a pole, and it'll do a mild electric shock if something tries to come up around it. Oh, look at there. There's one right there.
Yeah.
And you, like I said, just clamp it on a pole to stop squirrels from getting up to a feeder or stop snakes from getting up to a birdhouse that's on a pole. It's highly effective for that.
Absolutely.
If you can't get one of those or don't want to do one of those, then on your pole for the birdhouse, and I do recommend birdhouses be put on poles and not on trees, but put it on a pole and put some type of squirrel guard. You'll find them in hardware stores and all. Squirrel baffles and squirrel guards, or raccoon baffles that are tall skins. There's a picture
So
of
we
one.
had a baffle. You may be able to see it in the picture that was protecting them, but we also let those vines grow up.
Yes.
And I think that was a big mistake. So I
That
said
makes it
as
really
soon as-
easy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We have the baffle. I don't know if he could have gotten past that or not. Let's hope not.
It may have been able to, since there was something for it to
Grab
grip
onto.
down below it. It
right.
wouldn't have just slid down the pole. It had
Right.
something to keep it from sliding. So
So yeah, we have removed
Yeah.
after he relocated the snake.
Yeah.
Then we got those vines down,
Yeah.
and that was a mistake on our part to let those
let it
grow
go,
up there.
So just
because
pay attention.
yeah.
Go out there and look at your feeders. If there's something like that going on, or if there's nothing, no protection on your pole, put something on there.
So, tell me this: what is the snake after the babies or the eggs? Or
Yes.
possibly both.
Yes.
Either one, right?
Yes.
Whatever they can get.
Whatever they can get.
And they
have-
could get into that hole, right?
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
It would take a very large snake that wouldn't be able to get in the hole. I can't imagine a snake around here
Yeah.
that wouldn't be able to get in the hole, because you got an 1.5-inch hole.
Yeah.
That would accommodate a big snake. They just got to get in it. They'll take the eggs. They'll take the young if they can get them.
Do they smell the there's babies up there? Just no, they
probably
see
do.
something going
They
on.
may see, they may well smell it because they have a very good sense of smell. That little tongue you see flipping out
Yeah.
is really like a nose organ. It's their sensor.
Mm-hmm.
So you see it, they're sensing the air for scent.
Mm-hmm.
And so they know the birds up there. They may see them a little bit, but they're probably smelling it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's
And
so,
they're good at
so-
finding food.
Yes, they have to be, and they want to live too, but we certainly don't want to contribute to
No,
to them
no.
getting our sweet, precious baby birds. When we finally started getting the birds to nest in there, my husband posted on Facebook, "We're parents."
Yeah, yeah.
So it was very exciting because we had them up for quite some time before we ever before they actually used them. So. We are so thrilled that you watched today. Please share out the show and these beautiful pictures. We are going to leave you with more pictures, and I'm going to check one more time to see if we have any comments or any questions that Richard can answer. Oh, we do.
Uh-oh.
Wondering your take on the bird illness making some states take their feeders down.
I've heard a little bit about it. I do not know a lot about it. I'm not sure anybody knows a lot about it at this point. But they're just saying there's some disease going around through some of the birds that are, and coming to feeders, they're congregating a little bit. I just recommend, as I generally do, just make sure your feeders are clean all the time. You may take one of these handy wipes. Everybody's got them now.
Yeah.
Just wipe the perches down to keep them somewhat sanitary. Do that once a day. Other times, clean your feeders once a week.
Right.
Wipe them down if they're looking dirty, but wipe off the ports, around the ports,
Yeah.
and around on the perch, mostly around the port area where they've got their mouth or their tongues going to get seed.
Yeah.
Perches, the titmice, they're grabbing the perch and they're grabbing seed and reaching down. So just keep things sanitary and monitor. If you start seeing sick birds, certainly pay attention to what's going on and do keep your feeders clean. That's the most important part.
Okay. Thank you, Richard, and thank you, Kathy, for asking the questions.
Yes.
And we appreciate all of you who entered our contest. Thank you so much, and we'll leave you with those beautiful semi-finalists.
Those pictures. Hello, this is Richard Kohl. I want to thank each of you for watching, and I want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to share it.